All right. Good evening and welcome to Friday Night Swings with Will V, the Psycho Maniac Day Trader with Crusher Trading. And we are going to get into some of the swing trades that we have here. You guys got your notebooks ready? Unless you don't want to take notes. Does Amy, do you want to go over anything before you got to go? I know you got to leave in about 25 minutes. I thought maybe if there's something you want to go over, or if you're just going to be an observer. Netflix. All right. I took a Palantir trade this week, you guys know, right? I talked about that. We'll get into that here, but we'll talk about Netflix here first. See, wait. Oh, you know what? It's the end of the day, and for some reason, at the end of the day, my computer likes to slow down every day. Let me get rid of these right here. See if this helps out. I'm going to close a couple screens. Well, might have to restart again. Why is it not coming up? Oh, you know why? Because I didn't put in Netflix. And nobody told me. All right, there we go. That's why it wasn't coming up. It had nothing to do with my screens, but anyways. All right, so what I want to do is start out with the daily. This is going to happen to me again. Let's go to the daily here. Open this up. First thing I'm going to do is draw in my channel here. So imagine you had that first point marked out. Now the question is how can we rearrange this? So you tell me. Feel free to jump on the mic too if you want. This looks a lot nicer. I like that one. Okay. I'm not going to deny that the other one started out as a trend, but I would say that the real trend at this point is right here. In my opinion, how I would play it anyways. We'll turn that yellow. Reason being is, every once in a while you're going to get that little drop or you get a little pop on those channels. And so same thing here. You can draw this one in right there. And sometimes you get a pop and sometimes you get a drop. Put these up in here. Okay. I mean, this looks bullish all the way on the daily. I think you already know that. So one of the things I want to look at too is, when I'm on the swings, and this is going to go all around the board here as far as every chart, whether we are trading day trades or we're doing swing trades, short swings, big swings, weekly swings, you name it. These moving averages, I'm telling you straight up, are the thing. Okay. And I'm glad you two are in here because you are the two people that I want to share this with the most. And that is just look at the 20 EMA. Okay. I talked about this. I think this is pretty important too. So, we're in a trend to the upside here. We got green fair value gaps. We don't stop out of this trade right here until we get a red fair value gap on the underside of the 20 EMA. We're not going to take a red fair value gap to the downside until we get one that closes below the 50 SMA. Okay. So here on Netflix, you may have gotten, we'll get to the most recent stuff here, but I like to go back and then work my way into right now. Kind of helps develop how things have been developing on Netflix. So, if you'd have taken this trade here on Netflix in that on that one day. You'd only got 1 day trade out of this one. And you interrupt me if you see something or you want to talk about something. So this candle would have been over. We'd have not had anything on this one whatsoever. So you'd have been in this trade here. We would have gotten stopped out here at, we'd have gotten in this trade here this day. We'd have gotten stopped out this next day. About 18 bucks, right? Roughly, because that's when you would have seen that. So yeah, you got to be ready to get a drawdown and hold through that sucker. Now, I just happened to pick the first one that you get stopped out on, minus 18 bucks. We'll go back here and we'll see if there was anything in here. You do kind of have this head and shoulders, pattern forming in here, right in here. So this is the neckline. So I would expect, as we got this head and shoulders here, I would expect, let's go up here like this. And we got this right here like this. So we would expect, on this one here not to come down too far, right? Well, actually, you know what? I would have expected it to at least come down to the neckline there. But this is what we call an ascending neckline here on this head and shoulders. And you do get the head and shoulders, but guess what? It doesn't really pop. It heads down and it heads back up again. So I would say that this right here is somewhat of an anomaly right in here. Like, normally these are going to work. And you're going to probably get at least a move down to this level here at 825, 826, which we didn't, or even a 200 touch, because once you pass the 100, you're most likely going to hit the 200. You can see we tried to come down and hit it again. So this just shows, and the fact that the head and shoulders is trending upwards in the bullish direction, it's just showing the strength that Netflix has. So you can just see there's a lot of strength in there. Okay, so we'll get up to today's date here. And so now, as we have this trend line here, we can see that we're not going to get into the trade until we can get back above the 50 here. So we get above the 50 and we get our first fair value gap. You can either take the one here or the one that breaks the trend line. Now we talked about this yesterday, Amy. The ones that break the trend line, I like the best. But anytime you're over the 50, you can jump in and there's your good move. So even though you'd have gotten stopped out here, right, you may have taken this one in here, right, for a retry, and you'd have gotten about a $79 move on there. So not bad. Not bad. And we end up getting moved to the upside. So you could have gotten a nice win on this fair value gap right here below the 20. And once again, if you guys have a quick question, feel free to interrupt me. No offense. I want to make sure you guys are getting this. And once we have broken the trend, like back over the 50, we don't get into the opposite trend until we break back above the 50 with the fair value gap. And then we also have this ascending trend line, which we broke above here. Okay. So that ends up being a really nice run to the upside here. We'll take this one here of a high of about 300 points. 300 points on Netflix. Okay. Now, when do we get out of this trade? Well, once we get a fair value gap below the 20 EMA. We'll get back into the trade if we were going to get a green fair value gap immediately on the other side, but we break below the 50. So now you got your first red fair value gap right here. And now we have a nice move where down to that channel that we just created for a $44, $45 move. Now on Netflix, we need a green fair value gap to show up after the 50 because we already broke the 20, right? We broke the 50 here. Now we're going to change the trend, right? So to get out of this trade here, you'd either get out of this green one here. This red one might keep you in it, but for sure you'd get out this one here. And I'd be more apt to get out of this one here just because of the later entry on it. So now, where are we at? On your notebook, you can write down this stuff. You can say, hey, we're looking at Netflix now for a move to the upside. We got our green fair value gap right here, a nice pullback. So now we can probably consider Netflix for an upward move. What are we going to break right here? I'm sure you've already seen this level right here. Boom. So as soon as we break this level, I will shrink this level and I will make it yellow. They call me Mellow Yellow. Okay, and now I can go down to the 5 minute and figure out on the intraday where to grab it or to get into that trade. Let's go down to the 240. And actually, before I go to the 240, I want to go to the weekly real quick and just show you. Once again, I want to print this strategy into your brain because you guys, this strategy for long swings, super swings, is a freaking money maker all day long. Okay, so look at, you get above the 20 right here, above the 50, above the 20, you get your first green fair value gap. This was back in October of 2023, and that some bitch, look at her ride. You don't get any red fair value gaps on the other side of the 20 ever. You're still riding that sucker up high. So the reason why I want to go back to the weekly is to show you that you're still in a bullish move on Netflix on the weekly. Okay, and not saying that it's ready. You could say it's extended, but hey, if it's going to give you the move, it's going to give you the move. So you can wait for a red fair value gap here for confirmation. But if you want to get in earlier, let's go to the smaller time frames, because you're going to get the red fair value gap, or I'm sorry, the green fair value gap right here on the daily first. Now, if we go down to the 240, let's go to the 240. And we have a nice impulsive move now right here, waiting for a little bit of a retracement here. But this is a key indication. So I'm still waiting to get above this 1262.63 level. And I'm going to write that down right now. So if I can find my pen. So NFLX. Waiting on a break of the, what level would we call that there? You know, another thing I like to do, I'm going to do this real quick. I like to put a wick in here. So, or I'm sorry, like a zone from the wick zone, I call it. And that's because sometimes the body and the wick, they play the levels sometimes a little differently here. So let's keep this in here like this here. And let's wait for a break of that level. Okay. If you have anything to add, now is the time to do it. We want a break of the 1262.62 level. And I'm going to be watching this on the 240. I'm going to also watch it on the 15 and the 5 and possibly even the 1 minute for an intraday trade. Okay. Now, I'm not going to say that I'm going to trade it intraday. I don't know for sure. But if you're going to be watching Netflix, not only are you going to take a swing to the upside, but you also, if we get a nice break at that level right there, we got an intraday trade. And that intraday trade, we can look now for intraday. We got a couple things here. We got I'm just going to put a zone in here. I like this zone. This would be a zone. And then what I'll do is I'll put in 50% of this zone. Today's high 57, 1267, but I want to break. I suppose we could break today's high. I put 1262, 1267. So somewhere's in that zone right there. And actually, let me just do like this right here. I think that's a nice call out there, Amir. Trying to hurry up for Amy. I know she's got to go. There. 1267.10. I mean, somewhere in that zone. Somewhere in that zone. Anyways, so that's a good zone. And let's look at this here real quick. Does this do anything for us? This is old school. That's old news, so we don't need old news. So yeah, that's what I'm looking at here. Any kind of resistance is what I want to find. So we got this in here, but I don't think we need to worry about that quite yet either, because we're still trying to get the move. That's like right there. But we can go down one more level and see if we can. So I got this right in here too, right? Look at that, nice support right there. You see that? Let's go down to the 1 hour and check that out. There it is right here on the 1 hour. We do get some nice support on here. And this is why I like the body of the candles. I can just bring this down to the body, which is going to bring me down into here. You can see this red candle right here where it resisted. Right there. Look at how that worked out. So we kind of got this wedge, and we talked about those triangles, right? So we talked about the triangles. So you got two different kinds of triangles there, and I'll show you. Let me see if this works the way I want it to. You have this kind, and you have this kind. Okay. So this triangle right here, right, is showing us that price wants to go this way. Okay. So we want to, in the triangle is where? It's right here. Boom. You see the triangle right here? So this thing could consolidate in here for a few days, weeks, a month. We could be playing this range, or it's going to break, right? One of the two. So that's what we're looking for in the smaller time frames. This one right here, if you get something like this, and I think I was explaining before, so I like to do something like this here, draw these out, and what I'm looking for is when price breaks to either side, watch for the fair value gap on the lower time frame on 60 here. Watch for that fair value gap on the break of that level, or of that pendant of this big level right here. Okay, does that make sense, guys? So feel free to add something once again if you see it. Do you have any questions on Netflix? Because I think right now on Netflix, I'm just waiting for something to take place. Now on Netflix, do I want to take this to the downside? I don't think I do. If this thing breaks to the downside, I'm not going to be interested in. I'm more interested in the move to the upside, and we're going to have to wait for this break of this level for me to be interested in it. And my trim would be somewhere in this zone right here, on the 50% of this zone right here that we found out on the higher time frame. Is there anything you think we should add to this? There's a lot of different levels you can go off. There's tons of stuff here. So you like that, Amy? Good. Okay, so I wrote down what we needed on Netflix. And so you don't forget, too, if you got your notes, also put this level in your platform so that you get an alert when you hit the 1262 or the 1267 high, somewhere in that zone, whatever you think works best for you. But you can, once you get into that zone, too, you can try to figure out what you're going to play there. So, but what you should see on the lower time frames here, and let's see if we can find that on here. We should see some kind of reaction at that zone right there. Let's go down to the 5 and see if it gives it to us. Oh, no, it's just a straight up. It's just a straight up ejection. Right in here. All right. There we have it. There's net flickers. So we know that we're there on the daily. We know we're ready for the move to the upside. We're waiting. We're waiting. We got the green go light for Netflix. It's a go. We just have to break this level right here, and let's look for a move into here for your first trim. And that should be about a $50 move, roughly, maybe $100, or is it about $30 move to the top there? And if you wanted to get to the high, not get high, but get to the high, it's about $75. All right, cool. All right, let's do Palantir because that's the one that I've been working on. We good on net flickers, Amy? Good. Okay. If you got another one, shoot it my way. I'll if you got to go, I'll do it for you. All right. Thanks, Amy. Tell Chow I said hi. And ciao in Spanish means goodbye. So ciao's name means goodbye. And in the military, it means I'm hungry. So ciao can say, bye, I'm hungry. You guys have a good weekend. Okay, so here's my Palantir. And the big thing I got on Palantir here is this here. Start with that one. I like how that lines up right there. So I'll end up probably just getting rid of this one here because I don't need it because I already have that level in there. But I think realistically, is this a level in here? Nope, we'll just leave it at that, I guess. So maybe it'd have a little bit of a different look to it. But anyways, yeah, I can't make it look the way I want it to look. I got to take what it gives me, right? And then I got this level marked out in here on Palantir. So this is the cup, and then here's the handle, which I've been patiently. It's not the prettiest looking handle, is it? It's not the prettiest looking one. It could go down here like this too. I don't like that. It does look head and shouldersy. Let's go to the weekly. So Palantir looks like right now we are just looking for a pullback on the weekly to the 20 EMA. Okay. So if I mark this out here, just going to mark this out right here, this level, roughly. What that tells me, and I'm going to mark this red. Okay, that's telling me that the 20 on the weekly is right here. So I'm looking for price movement roughly down to that level from before, right? So let me go down to the next one. This is a pullback mode. So that fact that we have a twin fair value gap there, you can see there's a twin fair value gap. Price moves back to the 20 and she shoots up. Price moves back to the 20, she shoots up, right? So I'd be looking for a bullish move on the weekly long term, but on the short term on Palantir, let's go to the 240. We got that cup and handle. So I don't think the cup and handle is necessarily set up for a ginormous move to the downside, but it is setting up. And this is in line with my swing, and this is my target right there. Look at that. This is the target that I put in. And here's my ascending trend line that I had put in the other day. And that's where we got below today. So I trimmed in here, right? And now I'm going to hang on to the rest till hopefully we get to 142.19. Okay, so this is the Palantir. And if you want to know where we stopped today on Palantir, just look at this swing high right here. And just like magic, there it is. So that makes for a good trim. I had that on a different chart, not this one. So Palantir for me is just still sitting pretty. I'm not going to do anything, but I'm going to guess here on the lower time frame, if we're going to get a little bit of a move, we should have a red fair value gap below the 50 right here, but just formed up another one, right? We already got the one here before, which we're not stopped out on yet. And so once again, I'm just hoping for a bigger move down to 142.37. So Palantir, 142.37. Is there an entry? I think the entry would have been, we had already had an opportunity to get in there. The only time you would have another entry in here is if we break this ascending trend line and it gives us a nice fair value gap below that to the downside, then we look for a break. Okay. This level right here, I don't know that it's huge. I think, there's a good chance that we could pull back anywhere in this zone. Okay. We got the 100 pulling up in here too. So there's a good chance we might even come in here for a couple of days and then make a move to the downside and then back up again. Or because this is making higher lows, there's a good chance that this higher low right here, right, is a good signal for that move to the upside, which is confluent with us because we know on the weekly that we are trending to the upside on the bullish area, bullish zone, and we're going to probably probability wise be heading more that direction, their direction. So we're looking at this cup and handle right here. I'm looking really kind of a shoddy looking cup and handle. It's even more of a head and shoulders actually now. But I don't know how far we're going to go down on this. But we'll watch it. Any questions on Palantir? Oh my gosh, nastigans. Anybody want to look at anything in particular for a swing? I know Amy's gone, so it's just you and I, Amir. So feel free to jump on the mic too if you want. This is being recorded, by the way. So let's go back to Tesla. Let's just check on things here. We're still waiting for this wedge. We do get a pop here. Oh, you're up. Did you have something you wanted to throw in there? Okay. Yeah, we'll check out snow too. We'll check out a couple of them. But I was going to look at, what we can look at too is if there's anything that has earnings this coming week, we can take a peek at those. And we can see how those are setting up also if there's something you're interested in that. I'm going to stick to the Mag 7 for me, but like I said, if you have something that's going to be, it has earnings, we can check that out too. Yeah, so we're still just kind of waiting. So I got a note here on Tesla. There's really nothing to do here. On the daily, a lot of fair value gaps on Tesla, a ton of them. But once again, I like to go back in time, see how things were working out. So you can see we had the green fair value gaps. We stopped out right about here. It was a stop out. Now we wouldn't take any red fair value gaps until right here, because this is the first one below the 50. And so we'll take this one here to the downside. And you get a $106 move so far. Ends up being, I don't know, with the stop out, we'll put it in there. Let's see here. Come on, baby. We have about $155 move. Stop out here right in, where's the stop out at here? Right about here. Ends up being $100 move with the stop out. Okay, so now you wouldn't get into this trade for a move to the upside until we get that, we're above the 20, which is good. Now we got to get above the 50 with our first fair value gap, which is here. And now this is showing from August 5th of this year. Too bad we didn't know this back in August, huh? Look at this. Nice move to the upside here. $75 move on Tesla. And we don't get out of the trade until we get this red fair value gap below the 20. So you're out of the trade now. You're not going to take any red fair value gaps on this to the downside unless we get to the bottom side of the 50. And if you've noticed, we're kind of building this wedge pattern in here. And we have another green one in here. So, maybe you get stopped out in here. But one of the things, check this out, Amir, is the moving averages. You can see like they're not in these three moving averages are not in good order. So and then if you take it, you get stuck. And this is so this red fair value gap is still $23. And then we get the green fair value gap again.
What does that mean that there's a guy that you like? Huh?
Totally understand. Nope, let's wait. Just I'll wait for you. Do your thing. All right. Gonna figure out. I'll snip that piece out. All right. So this is being recorded. So you can see how choppy this is. So now that we're in this wedge formation in here, all these fair value gaps in here are obsolete. There's nothing in here that I want to take until we get a break above or below this wedge right here. Okay. So we'll hand that down to 240. And here we are in the 240. Once again, just kind of seeing where things are at. We have this nice channel in here. So now this is a different trade. Now we're not really going for a long swing. Now we're just looking at this channeling that's going on in here, right? So we can take trades in here depending on how the moving average is set up. So just coming back in time right here, you can see that we have this set up down here. We get our first green fair value gap above the 50 right there. And as you can see, this ends up being, you do get a little bit of a retracement here. This ends up being about a $26, $27 move on Tesla. Not too bad. And that swing was, let's see here. This would have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But 7, 8. So we got 1 day. That's about a 2-day swing. So about $26. Not too bad for a swing there on Tesla to the upside, just on the moving average. Now, this is what I would call more of a short swing. You're only trying to get it for, 1 to 3 days, okay? Because you're on the 240 right here. We're not looking for anything that's going out 2 weeks. Not, maybe on the daily, but on the 240, not really. And especially on Tesla here because we're channeling in here, right? So once we break below, we'll get out of that trade with a trailer, or you can get out here on the top. And part of the reason that would get on the top here is we have confluence. We have these two levels right in here that we hit. And so it's a good opportunity to get out with 90% of your position right here. And then if you were going to stay in, you'd be out right in here with this red fair value gap to the downside. Okay. Now you wouldn't take anything to the downside unless we broke the 5. And here, once again, just a short swing for the day. You can even make this into an intraday. But right here, this thing pulls back, right? It comes here, it pulls all the way back. So you would have got nothing on here. I don't want to take a trade. I don't want to take a trade when we are looking at this channel, the bottom support line here. Okay. So this moves back up. So I would probably stay away from this one here. And because it's more bullish than bearish, I would wait for all the moving averages on the bottom half of this to line up. And this right here is the one that I'm looking for. And this one gives me just a short swing, about $14. Not too bad. And you don't have to take these ones too. But if you want quick moves, these ones really work out. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. So right now on Tesla, we're still waiting. I'm on the 240 here. I'm still waiting for a break of that flag. Okay. And as soon as we get that with a fair value gap, then I'll be happy. But we either got to break above the 357, right? Tesla 357 and above. Okay. I don't know if there's anything else on Tesla that you want to see. Let's go into the 1 hour. So from yesterday on Tesla, we actually had a pretty decent move on here from yesterday. So I would definitely expect Tesla for an upward move today. I didn't see this at the open, but unknowingly, I did take Tesla at the open, did very well. But look at this right here. We have a nice bounce off this support level right here at 332. And then we had a move to the upside from the 50. We get our first fair value gap above the 20 right in here at here. So close to the, in the close yesterday, we could have taken an overnighter, right? Or you could have done what I did and just got in at the open. But this here was a $17 move on Tesla between the close and the open this morning. So really good trade there, right? So that's Tesla. And like I said, we're looking for a break of the 357 level. Cool. All right. I'm going to give Mr. MSTR a shot here and see what that does. 240. Let's go to the daily. And this is, another move here to the downside. You can see how this was trending. So you got the first two in here. So when you're in here, right, we can look at this at the lower time frames, right? We'll mark this yellow just so when we go back, we can check that out. Okay. You got a green fair value gap above the 60, which is showing bullish, but we got to wait to break. It's this level that's coming down right here. So we don't break it. So we enter the downside. Do we take this down here? No, because we got these channeling up here. You got the 200 SMA in here. There's so much confluence in here that's supporting that price action that I would not even consider MSTR to the downside unless it broke that level there. Okay. And then you have this impulsive candle right here. Okay. A little bit of an impulsive candle here. So this is kind of the level that I would want to break right in here. But you can see you got some support in there. So now we got MSTR moving to the upside. We finally broke this back in, when was this? April of this year. Okay. Nice trend. And I showed this to you earlier. $100 move to the upside. We get another $55 move to the upside. So price comes down. You break below the 20. You stop out of the trade. You get back in when you get another 50 fair value gap above the 20 and the 50. And you get another $55 move to the upside. Really nice. And I kind of like these moves in a way because, you don't have to get your contracts out too far. You can buy contracts here and you can buy contracts here. This trade took roughly, how many days? 7 days. So that's a 1 week trade right there. 55 points. Not bad for a short swing, especially if you need fast money. Okay. Price moves back down. We get stopped back out here, but we don't take this trade until we get a clean red fair value gap below. And that's the first one right here. That gives us a $55 move right there. And here's where we're at. We're stuck. We got a morning star in here. So we're down here today at this level, and I'm expecting this to get a pop to the upside at some point. Let's go to the 240 here, and then we'll go to the 60. So once again, we got a pop above the 50 SMA here on the 240. So we're waiting for MSTR. Pop above 342.17. And then I'm going to also put in a level right here. Just like that. So this is going to help us out intraday. And let's look at the weekly. I want to go back to the weekly because I want to see what the overall bias is right now. The overall bias on this position is to the downside, by the way. So what we had here is we had on the weekly, we have the green fair value gaps coming up. We do get a red one in here. A nice move to the downside. And it kind of does or doesn't stop itself out, depending. It looked like it had a big run beforehand, so you probably would have gotten out of that trade, or at least been down to a trailer right here. And here would have been your most recent stop out on that trade. Now, we can't get into MSTR to the downside. I'm going to make a note here. We need a red fair value gap on the weekly below the 50. Okay. Below the 50. So that's what we're waiting for on that one on the weekly here. I got that on the weekly. So, which kind of lines up with a lot of the stuff here. So let's go back down to the daily. Right in here. Once again, you can see we're trending below. So this is what we're waiting for. The bigger move on the weekly. If you want a bigger swing. We did get this one we just talked about. Did we get this one on the daily, which you got a nice move to the downside here. And then we'll bring it down to the 240. Same thing, right? You don't get stopped out. You don't get stopped out. And you just are taking this to the downside. Nice big trend there. Really big trend on MSTR on the 240. Now, if you're going to get more intraday, let's head down to the 15. Hey, let me go back to the 1 hour on that real quick. And let's just draw this out here. We'll keep this level. It's lining up with the 200, so cautionary level. Right there. And we'll see what happens here. So right now, on the 60-minute, you can see price broke the 50. Where did it come in here? So here we got a price break here, waiting for a price for the 50, break with the 50. You get stopped out in here. I don't care for these on the 1 hour, by the way, but I'm just going to go through this here to find my way through. And definitely would be using the 240. If anything, the 90. So you can see we got this wedge pattern forming in here too. Kind of breaks it. So get that down in the 5-minute. So you can see we got these levels up here. We would look for these levels. Look at this nice move off the bottom here, double bottom right there. Perfect move today off of MSTR. Look at that, to a T. Wow. Boom. Now, I took this one here based on the 1 minute, or the 5 too, on that fair value gap there. Look at that nice move on MSTR to the downside. So the moving averages are lining up. So once you, like I said, you can use this on the smaller time frames too for intraday trading. You get that red fair value gap down here. You get the nice move to the downside. So that's MSTR. Which one should we look at next here? Should we take a peek at coin on the daily? It's going to go through these really fast here. We do have in consolidation, so coins consolidating. We went through this earlier this week, but I'm actually going to take notes now. So what we're just waiting here on coin. We do have a bearish move. You're not stopped out, so there's really nothing to do here unless we break into the 50-20 zone here and then break back down, or we break above the 50. So waiting on I'm going to call a rebreak. Trend is trending. Okay. And let's look at this down on the 240. Same thing. It's kind of amazing. We had a big day on coin today in this little move right here. So even though the larger time frames are showing neutral, right? If we get down to the 5-minute here, this is all we're looking for. Those fair value gaps in the 15. I think set up really nice, really nice. If we go back a couple days, you can see the same thing. Once you get above the 20, you just hang on until you get a full green fair value gap, which you never do, and away she goes. A long wait. The question is when do you get in? You wouldn't have seen this yet, so you're waiting for your fair value gap, which shows up right in here, and you had a nice move to the upside. These are good moves. All right, let's look at the next one. Let's see here. Let's do Meta. And then after this, I'm going to do Snow. And we talked about this here, the trends. I have these all marked out. Same thing. So on the daily here, we're stuck between the 50 and the 20. So I'll mark that on Meta. On the daily, between the 20 and the 50. So basically just have to wait for a break to either side to let us know which way it wants to go. Now let's go down to the 240. Let's go to the weekly and see the overall trend. The overall trend on the weekly is bullish, and it did break this level right here. We do have an impulsive candle that broke through it, so we could see a bigger move to the downside. So we'll watch out for that on Meta. Go down to Meta, and we'll go down to the what I say, the 240. 240 showing some shorter swings on here, and we are breaking above the 50 here. And so on Meta, on the 240, we're looking for a green FVG for a move to the upside. And so technically, really what I want to do for Meta, I want to get a break above 760, 759.50. Okay. That's on the 240. Let's bring this back down to the 15. See what we got cooking here. Daily trends. In consolidation over here the last couple of days, really nothing going on at all. Don't see an overall trend. Everything is trading sideways there. So we're kind of waiting for a breakout there on the 15. And then today on the intraday, I'm telling you, just go down to the 5. Do this on the 5 minute and the 1. Use the same strategy on the fair value gaps, especially if you have the 15. But this is going to give us quicker entries. So you have the first 5 minute fair value gap, which takes place above the 20. Okay. Remember how before we were talking about after 950 and below the 20? That still stands, and it's actually pretty good. So that's the 5. So you don't get one in here. But here's the thing. We got to get down to the smaller time frames. So the 1 minute is going to give us more information on this trend, and I think I can prove it to you. So let's go down to the 3. Okay, you get a fair value gap on the 3, still the same spot from the 5. We'll bring that down to the 1. Trying to cut some of the noise out, give us a better opportunity. It's that fine line be having too much and not enough, but I think we could make this work on the 1 minute. Let me show you here. Okay. So what's cool about this one here, look at how the moving averages are different now. So we're on the 1 minute, and the 15-minute fair value gap is more or less going to give us the confirmation. We do have this overlaying on the 20 I like this one better because we get below the 50 SMA today, and this takes place at 10:18, and we end up, it ends up coming back, a little bit of a whiplash there. But we do end up getting roughly, we do end up getting about a $7 to $9 run there on Meta. Okay. So really nice play there on Meta today for intraday. So Meta, we got the on the daily, we are between the 20 and the 50. So we have to break to one side or the other to figure out which way it's going to trend. On the 240, we're waiting for a green fair value gap to the upside. So it's telling us right now that we're most likely going to trend to the upside. So if I'm going to take a swing, I want to take a swing to the upside. Okay, so the smaller time frame on the 240 is showing that first break of the 20 EMA. So now let's wait for that break on the daily for an add spot. Okay, that's on Meta. Let's go to Snow on the daily, and I think it's starting to trend here. So let's see. Yeah, I like it. I like it. Okay, so what's cool about Snow here is I don't have to go through all this and talk about this again, but let's get our levels drawn in here. Right here. And then we have another one that I want to draw in right here. I don't know which one. I'm going to draw this on right there. Okay. Make this one yellow. Boom. Boom, boom. We have some nice support right here where that bounced off of here on the daily. And so now what we're waiting for is we have a red fair value gap. This is our pullback above the 50. So we do got to break above this this level right here, this ascending support. So if Snow was going to go any higher, it's most likely going to produce a valid green fair value gap right in this area right here. So we're waiting on Snow. We're waiting for that ascending trend to support. So we got Snow. Oh, I'm tired, man. I am tired. I can't even speak straight here. Snow to the upside. If we go bullish on it, we want a break of the trend line. Okay. So we got that there. And we're waiting for a green fair value gap. Okay. Cool. And let's see what else we got here. If we're going to break to the downside, we're going to have to, wait. We'll see what happens here. But these moving averages are kind of lining up. You got the 200 to 100. The 9 is getting into order. So these things are in order. It looks like it wants to go bullish. I'll put a horizontal trend line in right here. Let me see where this fits in the best, in my opinion. I think right there. And so we got a nice bouncer. So it's just a waiting game on Snow. And what was the other one? Was there one more that we wanted to look at? Just trying to think. Is there one more other than Snow? I did Netflix, Tesla, MSTR, Coin, Meta, Snow. I did Palantir. We're still in that one. Was there another one that we wanted to take a peek at? I don't know if anybody's around, but if not. You know what? There is one I want to look at for me, and that is Microsoft. This thing is habitually trending to the upside all the time. So here we get this move back in May, and Microsoft has made a beautiful move to the upside. So we do get a stop out. So we got a red candle here. So nice. I got Microsoft down here. So, and the only reason I want to know about Microsoft is I'm looking for, I'm a perma bull on Microsoft. So I'm looking for an entry. So I got a note here, looking for entry. And I'm not necessarily going to take the red fair value gap to the downside, but I may. So we're below the 20. So it's below the 20 and the 50. And we are right now waiting on a red fair value gap on the daily. Okay. Nope. Being a dad is way more important. No problem over here. I think I'll have to go back and cut that clip out too for you. All right, so let's see here. That's Microsoft. Let's go down to the 240. Yep, promise 100%. Let's see here. So this is kind of confirming our downward move here. Look at that right there. This is also, so like if you're looking at the smaller time frames, we're most likely going to see it on the daily. So that's why I like the 240 a lot. Thanks to Amy. Amy's really got me hooked on the. I mean, I used it a lot before, but I think she's just kind of pushed me into using it a little bit more. Okay, there's a nice level right there. We may be low, and now I'm looking for support. Here's a support level right in here, and look at that, we're breaking support. So this is good. In my eyes, this is good because I would like to add to my Microsoft position. So now here's one of the things I just thought about what I can do. Because I'm long-term on Microsoft, what I can do is I can raise the money, okay? I can raise the money to purchase my add-ons for my long-term retirement account. So I am, looking at my red fair value gap to the downside right here, right? So I can see if I get continuation. If we break below the 500 level here, and I got to write this down on Microsoft, I may add to this position to the downside and raise money, use that money to purchase long for my retirement. Okay, does that make sense? So I'm not going to use my money. I'm going to use somebody else's money if it works out. I'm going to borrow my money to raise the money and then use the money that I made off this move to the downside to purchase more Microsoft. So I need a break of the $500. And this is down here. Let's see another thing. Found that this is a little interesting in right here. Just like that. This is a cautionary zone. This would be a good day trade possibly. So we'll yellow this one up. Thicken it. Let's move down to the 1 hour. Look at that. Nice. Right like that. Okay. I like it. I like it. So let's draw this level here. So I'm going to draw this level here at the bottom right there. I want to see what that looks like on the lower time frame. Let's go another 5 minute. Yeah, you can see how well this is working in here. So, and once again, using this strategy intraday, I'm telling you all day long, once you break above that 20 with a fair value gap, she goes. Look at that on all these tickers, even if they're range trading. What I prefer though is right now I prefer the 1 minute. Yeah, this is still kind of new to me. But here is Microsoft today. Once we break that 20, you stay in this trade until you get that green guy up there. I mean, it doesn't, you can practice, dude. I'm speechless because I played this on MSTR today and it was phenomenal. Did exactly, played by the rules exactly. I think this really simplifies everything and it goes well with the 15 because you got to, if you get these and then you get a 15-minute fair value gap, it tells you if you should be adding to the trade or maybe getting out of the trade at that time, if that 15-minute fair value gap is going to actually work. And you'll use those moving averages on the 5. You'll watch the 15 and you'll see it on the 1. You mesh those 3 together, my friend, you can't lose. And if you do, it's going to be very seldom. So these days, I what time is this? I would wait on these big, huge moves like this. You just wait for things to settle out. Right now, you finally get your trend in here. Here's your first red fair value gap below the 50 and the 20, and you get a nice move to the downside. You don't take this one here. You wait for it to break the 50, comes back down. You get above the 50. You wouldn't get into this trade in here, but look at the move you get. Shazam. Alakazam. Do this on as many tickers as you want. Amir. When I say back test, let's just look at, here's out of the open. Like when those moving averages today on Tesla, when I seen that, I played this 1-minute strategy and like we talked about this morning before the market open, and this thing is good. Look at this, above the 20. Now you can wait for things to settle out. You can always wait for the second one. So here it is right here. Goes up. You didn't take that one. Comes down. We stop out. But maybe if you're running the trade, that's fine. You wouldn't get back in this trade until you get a green one right here. Smaller move, but still a winning move. And you have a move there on Microsoft. I would try to get in. What time is this at? 10 o'clock? Yeah, I would try to get in. Yeah, it's about the time I would try to get in. $9 or $1 move, I'm sorry. So, see here. Get at the open here. These are really good out of the open. It really gives you that early entry, just like a starting position. Right here, price moves down, breaks up. Waiting for that first fair value gap. Where'd it go? They're not in here. They disappeared. Oh, it's because I got to do this. There we go. Oh, maybe they don't go back that far. But you'd even just come in here and just look. You got your fair value gap here, green one. You get above the green right here, waiting for your green fair value gap, waiting, waiting, waiting. Here it is right here. This is your first green fair value gap above everything, and look at the move you get. $291. That's Microsoft though. Let's go back and I'll show you this on Tesla. I like Tesla on this because there's virtually no spreads, but look at the Tesla move here today. This 1-minute deal works. So here's the deal. Are you here? Look at this. You get a green fair value gap on the 15. Kind of confirms a move on Tesla today, which we took. But if you were trading, this, right, you get your first fair value gap. I don't like the ones at the open here, but you could take it. You can see it's a little whipsaw here. Here she starts to settle out. It's 942, close to 9. Look at this one here. Actually 943. That would have actually been a $3.61 move today. And you're on Tesla. Now you can see that you got the 15-minute fair value gap showed up too. But right before that, look at here. So you're not going to take this one here. You got to confirm the trade. You're below the 20. We know we're bearish, but we can't take anything until we break that 50. We break the 50. Here is your first entry, and we get in early right here on this first move right there, $4. Second move, $5.69. Red fair value gap. But the moving averages aren't going to line up because it's the color change, but you can see like on Tesla, you're good to go. I mean, there's your ad spot right there. There's no need to trim when you get that 15-minute fair value gap. You can try to get that little extra push on it. Maybe wait for the pullback. You get what I'm talking about? Like this is money. This is money. Does anybody have any questions on this, dude? Go back another day. Look at this. I'll go back as many days. I can pull a trade out of any one of these days. You give me any day and I will pull a trade out of it. That's how well these fair value gaps work with the moving averages. Okay. What day was that on here? Oh, I don't know why they're not showing up. I have to go back to trading view and do it on that one. So let's watch this now. Look at how nice the moving averages line up. Did we get the 15 in here? Let's see. There's no 15-minute fair value gap in here, is there? There is, but it comes in later on. But it doesn't mean that we don't have a trade. This is the 1 minute, right? We break below the 20, and here is our first red fair value gap below the 20. Okay, so we're going to trend. Yes, this is a little. This one here is a little bit of a wild ride. We want to get outside the ORB too, but this one here ends up being a $2.76 run. If you can handle that pullback. And the reason why you should be able to handle the pullback and add to the position is because you got the green fair value gap, which means you got a good chance. It's just pulling back. You're doing your pop above the 20 and then it drops. Okay. I'm not saying you should wait for it every time. It doesn't give us that indicator, but look at these moving averages. Right out of the open, they're tough, but you get a nice red fair value gap here. If you had taken this out of the open, you would have had a $4.89 run today like I had. And that was, I don't remember, a few $100 per contract. Just very simple and easy. Let's see here. Price breaks above the 20. You get a green fair value gap here. So we're looking above the 60 here. Let's look for the first green fair value gap. Takes place, which is right here. You do get a pullback. Where? To the 20. Is it consistent? Somewhat. You're going to get a pullback a lot of those times. And then sometimes you're not going to. It won't pull back as far, but you're going to be ready for a drawdown. Okay. And that you can see that just moved up sky high. Here it is. Everything's trading above, right? You let your things settle out. There's your first impulsive candle right in here. We're officially above all of this stuff here. Here's your first green fair value gap right in here, right into the open. And away she goes. You get a red fair value gap. And you can use the fives too. So if you get a green fair value, I'm sorry, a red. I am tired, man. Holy cow, am I tired. I need to get some rest. I have a 1 minute fair value gap, right? We get above the 200. This is going to channel right here. And now we look for the 5 minute fair value gap. And then you get the 15 minute. And this just allows you to keep adding to the trade. $2.49. If you'd have got in down here, if you're looking for that early start, we got a 421. It's the same exact way that we play any kind of swing trade on the 240 and the daily. It's the same all day long. And even though this is wedge trading, we can still take these intraday trades on Tesla because the spreads are tighter, and that's what we want. Look at that. Let things settle out a little bit. You're going to get your first fair value gap. I'm just trying to figure out why my shaded fair value gaps. Are these the same day ones? Is that why? Oh, they are current day. That's why. Let me do like this. There we go. There we go. That's why they weren't showing up. So look at price. Everything kind of let things balance and settle out. You get your first red fair value gap below the 20 in here. And I know at first, unless you back test this, you're going to get a little bit nervous on it because it's going to be tough. But, you know, if you want to wait, a lot of times you're going to get that red fair value gap. You're going to get that retest back into the 20, maybe even the 50. But you don't get stopped out. Okay? You don't get stopped out at all on this. And it ends up moving down. Who knows? How far does that go? If you gotten in here, you know, $7 on Tesla. Get the whole move. And you could have waited for the retest too. Now, that's it. You don't need to know anything else for the day. Okay? Nothing else. Now, technically, let's look at this technically. That was your main move. There's no green fair value gaps above at all that show up. And you get the bigger move to the downside, and she just keeps going. Nothing. Look at that. This is what makes me more relaxed when I'm trading. When I know that I'm in the money, I'm doing well, and I can hang out on my trailers now because I know exactly what I'm waiting for. This is ludicrous, man. This is just unbelievable. Just when you think the strategy can't get any better, you come up with something like this, and look at this. Let the thing settle out in here. You can see you don't get your first one until right about here at 10:05. Okay, it's under the 20, it's under the 50, it crosses over, right? If you don't like it because you want to get below, you know, and that's what you actually have this going for you. You got that fair value gap now, and you have the 1 to 200 pass. It's most likely going to happen, so you can at least get a scalp out of it. You get to the downside here, right? This one here does pull back. It doesn't pull back to the 20, but this one just keeps going. If you're going to wait for this one here, there's your pullback right there because it's breaking the 200 zone, 200, 100 zone, and down she goes, and you get a really nice move on Tesla. Very tight spreads. Check this out. Let stuff digest. There's no fair value gaps anyways. And you wait for the candle to close. Make sure that the fair value gap sticks. On this 1 minute strategy piece, you do not need to get in right at that time. Doesn't matter the excursion at this moment, nothing else. You just wait for that move. Here it is right here. I don't care for these ones that are on here because sometimes you don't get a big enough move. You do get this green one right here. This would be the only excursion, I guess, you could look at. You had a big move down here. But you could try this one. This red one right here. And you would have maybe gotten a 60-cent move off of that. And if you were going to hold. So for me, the drawdowns are big, but they're easier for me to hold because knowing this level here. There's a dollar move right there. Okay. Get some consolidation. And as you can see, not every single one of them are going to work out. But notice here, notice all the moving averages, the big ones, the 100, the 200, the 50, like everything is squeezed tight. And that squeezed tight right there doesn't do anything for anybody. You get your 15-minute fair value gap, things open up. Okay, these happen up in here, but you're done trading for the day. So let's move on. Fair value gaps look a little bit more spread out. Waiting for that 1 minute. We're not going to take the red one above. Right? Here's the first green one we get. Then we get this one here. Choppy, but it doesn't matter because we trust these. And you have a $2.71 move there on Tesla. Make sure you get these in the money. Close to it, especially on days like today. Is that working? Do you want me to go over anything else? Another ticker you want to go over? Is this resonating with you? All right. If you want to look at one more swing for the Friday night swing here, let me know. I can go over that. Otherwise, I am going to. I had a long day. I think I'm going to rest for a little bit, eat some dinner with the family, and call it a day here.